Dr. Josh Red, chiropractic physician, explains how Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
If you have low thyroid and you're taking thyroid medication, the biggest question you should ask yourself is what's causing my low thyroid specifically? If you don't know the answer to that question, it's important to call us. At Red River, we identify triggers that will cause the low thyroid to begin with. One of the most common causes of low thyroid is a disease called Hashimoto's disease. This is an autoimmune disease that is a lot more complicated than just a primary thyroid issue. This is why people will be on thyroid hormone but still feel little to no improvement because nothing's being done to address the bigger, more complicated problem, which is Hashimoto's. If you have low thyroid or you have an autoimmune disease and you're on medication and still don't feel well, call Red River.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
The following is a paid program of commercial time on KVNU. The information, offers, and claims are solely those of the sponsor and not the opinions of this station, its affiliates, management, or employees. It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
And we welcome you to the show on this beautiful Saturday morning. I can say beautiful because later today it's probably going to be the best day we are going to have for the next week. Mark, it's supposed to be in the low 60s, sunny skies. Should be great for the trick-or-treaters that go out tonight.
Nice. Yeah, so nice to be out. Yeah, and I remember trick-or-treating with our kids on multiple times with snow on the ground. So,
and freezing cold temperature. I mean, it'll still be a little chill in the air tonight. But yeah, just a gorgeous day today to get out and enjoy it.
Not bad, especially after we've had all this rain, So it's really greened up everybody's lawns. It's been great for the trees and the shrubs. This has been an amazing month. I think we've recorded 4.5 inches at my house.
4.5.
4.5 inches.
I was just going through the graph here, so we would be, with all of the rain that we've had, we're pretty close to that.
Yeah, that's like I know we've got really close to 4.5. It's between 4 and 4.5 inches. Yeah. We have a pretty accurate rain gauge at our house, and so with that snowstorm, we had to just let it sit there and melt.
Yep.
So I think that could throw it off a little bit, but that's a pretty hefty October and a great way to start. Great way to start this the fall and the winter season off, and hopefully it continues.
Yeah, we need to replenish the water reserves that we've got. I was up around Idaho 2 weeks ago, and driving up above Boise, and it was just bone dry up there.
Yeah,
just bone dry. The rivers and even the reservoir, the small reservoir that they have outside of Boise, Lucky Peak, just nothing. There's just down to a river running down through the middle of it.
Just low. So we'll take that. We'll take all that excess runoff, and hopefully we'll continue. It looks like we've got another storm coming next week too.
A few more chances of rain. It'll kind of be on and off next week. Yeah. So Monday, and Tuesday, yes. Wednesday, no. Thursday, yes.
We'll take it.
Good.
We'll take it for right now. And it sounds like the ski resorts are pretty excited because they've got enough snow to even open the season for November. So that's not too bad. So a lot going on at Anderson Seed today. So we've got trick or treating downtown, which ought to be exciting. Every time Halloween or the trick or treat hits on Saturday, we get kind of crazy there.
I was going to say, we were doing a trunk or treat last night, and oh man, I don't think I've ever seen so many people come out for a trunk or treat. So, it's a perfect perfect weekend for this. Weather's going to be great. Plus, this is also coinciding with a lot of festivities that are going to be going on downtown
on Center
later
Street.
in the afternoon.
Yeah, on Center Street. So that they've got the kind of the Halloween festival going on down there. There's like witches dances. There's music. There's all kinds of stuff. We'll be open till 8:00, and we're kind of calling it our witches night since we haven't been able to do our ladies night for the last couple years. And we've got fall decor on sale. So we've got some great fall decor, for Thanksgiving or just fall colors and some really, really nice decor. That's all on sale. We brought in some quart size and some I think they're 8-inch mums, and they are absolutely gorgeous right now. And the quart size mums are usually $5. We're doing them on sale for $1.50. So, yeah, $1.50, and there's about 6 different colors, and they're in absolute full bloom. And so if you want to have a little bit of color to add out into your yard right now, and this is like hardy color, so they can handle some cold, but $1.50 on the mums. So it doesn't get any better than that if you want to stop in and get some nice color for outside. And I think on our 8-inchers, don't hold me to it, but I think they're $4, and they're usually $8.99. Mm-hmm. And so some great pricing on some fall mums, some beautiful color, and you can't beat that for right now. And with Witches Night, we've got a couple other people showing up at the store. So Julia the Pie Lady's going to be there. So if you want some amazing pumpkin pie, I'm sure she'll have a lot of other ones to choose from. She'll be there tonight as well too. I think she's going to be there from 5 till 8. So trick-or-treating ends about 4:00, and then Witches Night starts up, and we should have a lot of fun stuff going on. Yeah, it should be a good night. And, of course, like I said, a lot of stuff on sale. We're going to probably cherry pick a few items to have on sale for the holidays as well too. So we'll have some specials going on tonight at Anderson's if you want to stop in and see what's going on. But should be a lot of fun on Center Street with the music and the festivities and the dancing and all the good stuff going on.
Yeah, and the trunk or treat starts this morning.
Yeah, I think that is at 10 o'clock.
About 10 o'clock.
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
Kids are invited to come down and
10 o'clock.
Start heading down around downtown Logan. Yeah, be a great time.
Yep.
Plus, also, we want to mention, too, that this is going to be one of the final shows of the year before the show goes on a hiatus. So if you've got a question, something that maybe you're thinking, oh, yeah, during the winter, there's always this one thing I always wanted to talk to Mark about. Hey, this is the time to do it. We've got this week and next week before the show will go on hiatus. Yep. And call in with all of your questions. 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868 for the KVNU Garden Guide with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden.
And I did get one question sent to me already this morning, and it's about prepping flower beds that have bulbs and perennials in them already. So the caller was thinking about trying to rejuvenate those flower beds a little bit, but there's bulbs and there's potentially some perennials in there as well too, but want to add some mulch, and how to do that without damaging the bulbs. Well, the best way to do that is actually in the spring after the bulbs have finished blooming, to dig those up and store those through the summer so you can rejuvenate those flower beds and work some of that compost and that mulch and good soil amendments into that soil. But if you can't do that, or you've got perennials and bulbs in there and they're kind of permanent, what we want to do is just put a light mulch over the top of it, and then you can kind of rake it gently, because the tulip bulbs and the daffodils and crocus and things like that, they won't be showing up until next spring. And so they're down below the surface a couple inches, and so we can actually take a really nice mulch like our soil building conditioner or even our Garden Max, and you can just sprinkle that over the top, up to probably with the Garden Max, probably about 3/4 of an inch to an inch at the most. With the soil building conditioner, you could do up to 2 inches, and then just kind of incorporate that into the surface of the soil. Just rake it in, and that's going to start working its way down into your existing soil and loosen that up and condition it, but also add a lot of nutrient value back into the soil as well too. Of course, with the perennials, we should be trimming those all down right now as well too.
Anyway,
so it makes it really easy to get closer to the soil that way. So get out there and trim all those perennials down. Most of them should have died down by now. There might be a few hardy ones that are still hanging in there, but if they're done blooming, let's trim those right down to the ground. I'll go out there with the weed whacker, sometimes with the hedge shears, and just just chop those all up and compost those, and then it kind of frees up the access to the soil, so you can incorporate some of these soil amendments right into the soil, kind of work it in. Even if you have like a 4-tine or a 3-tine cultivator, that kind of has the curved tips on it.
Oh yeah,
you can
the little ones.
Yeah, it's kind of like a rake, but it's smaller and it's got longer. It's got longer tines on it. That's perfect for incorporating into the soil without damaging any existing plants that way. So.
And I think it was last week we had a similar question. People were saying, or someone had said, how do I incorporate some nutrients into an existing raspberry patch or a strawberry patch where you can't really get underneath and agitate that soil.
Yeah, that's where the Garden Max is amazing, because you don't have to use as much of it. It's been composted so well that you only have to use like 3/4 of an inch of it to really get the same kick out of 2 or 3 inches of another type of compost. Yeah. So you end up using a lot less of it, but it's so packed with nutrient, and it's great for breaking up clay soil, and it just has so many really, really great qualities to it. But you only need about 3/4 of an inch. So even with the raspberries or the strawberries, you could trim your strawberries down and just put this right over the top of them. 3/4 of an inch through the whole bed. With the raspberries, you can just kind of work it in around all those canes that are coming up. Yeah, should work out. Should work out great.
Okay. Well, let's go out to the phone lines. Our first caller joining us on the Garden Guide, Jan, is on the line from Paradise. Jan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. My question is about reseeding the lawn.
Yeah.
Is it too late to reseed it now? And what if it isn't? What do I need to do?
Great question. Really good question. Depends on what Mother Nature throws at us. If we have some cool, wet rain and some temperatures that aren't like really, really cold, we're getting below zero at night, and sometimes not even below zero, and that grass seed will still germinate because the soil's still warm from a really nice fall, and so you could get some of that seed to germinate. If it really changes and gets cold, that grass is not going to germinate, and it's going to just sit there. And depending on which kind of grass your grass seed you're going to put out there, some will winter over better than others. So Kentucky bluegrass will winter over quite nicely. So if it doesn't germinate this fall, it'll winter over. It'll come up next spring. And so if you aerate and that seed gets down into the soil, and if the weather changes and it's really cold and it doesn't germinate, it'll stay there until next spring, and then it'll come up next spring. The rye and the fescues aren't as durable through the winter time, and so you may lose some of that seed. You may have to add some more next spring, but they are quicker to germinate, and so your likelihood of them germinating this fall is better than the bluegrass because they come up in about half the time, and so they'll come up a lot faster. But if they don't germinate this fall, they probably aren't going to winter over great for next year. But if it does come up, just even those small fine blades will winter over quite nicely, and they'll just take off again next spring. So no worries that way.
So it's still not too late to put it down and for it to.
How big of an area are you doing, Jan?
We have about 10,000 square feet.
But you're not planting bare ground. You're just overseeding.
No. Just reseeding.
Yeah. If you're overseeding, you're going to be using half the amount of seed that you would if you were doing bare ground. And it's getting kind of late. I mean, we're pushing it into November. The weather's going to change here quickly.
Right.
So your guess is as good as mine. You could definitely still do it, and like I said, if it's bluegrass, you've got no problem because it could germinate this fall, winter over. If it doesn't, and germinate next spring. So if you're doing a bluegrass, I think you'd be okay. If you're doing something else, I probably would not.
Yeah.
Okay, now in the spring, what about the early fertilization? Would that kill the new grass blades or things that are germinating?
Just make sure you don't use a pre-emergent. And so a fertilizer would be great. In fact, one of the topics I want to talk about on the show today is now it's Halloween, perfect time to put your winterizer on. So you can put the winterizer on even right while you're seeding. Usually we recommend between Halloween and Thanksgiving is the best time to put your winterizer on. And so if you did some overseeding at the same time, that would work out great. Just in the spring, make sure you don't use a pre-emergent because that'll stop your seed from coming up.
Okay.
All
and
right.
humate, how about anything?
Oh, yeah, anytime. I'm going to do humate right when I do my winterizer. So planning on doing that. Yeah, planning on doing that here in the next couple of weeks. So it's great for winter, and then in the spring you just don't have all that debris and dead grass and stuff out there. So
right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks for calling this morning, Jan.
Bye-bye.
All right.
And that frees up a phone line at 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. Questions that you have for the Garden Guide here on this Halloween Eve. A lot going on downtown. We already were talking about that and mentioning some of the things you can do to prep your flower gardens.
Yes.
And still time you can get those bulbs in, too. I know we've got a bag of bulbs that have been sitting by a back door just to remind us we've got to plant them.
Get those planted.
And so that's one of the projects for today.
Yeah, we still have a really good selection of bulbs to plant, and the weather is perfect for doing it right now. But our amaryllis have all come in as well, too. So if you want some bulbs to enjoy indoors for the holiday season, all of our amaryllis are showing up. So they are, I think pretty much everything is here now. So great selection of amaryllis bulbs, so many different colors to choose from. And, those fall bulbs, we've still got tulips, we've still got daffodils, hyacinths, crocus, and a really good selection. And it's a great time to get out there before the ground gets really cold. A lot of good soil moisture. You can get out there and get some bulbs planted. So, but it seems like all of a sudden we've had quite a few pests popping up. So box elder bugs are going crazy, and I've had a lot of people in asking about voles and what to do to prevent voles as well, too. So if you have questions about voles or box elder bugs or how to winterize your lawn or anything about prepping your garden and getting things ready for next year, this is a time to call in with those questions, because we've got this show and next week's show, and then we're taking a break until March with the Garden Guide. So 753-5868, 753-KVNU if you'd like to join us here on the Garden Guide. So
Lori was just calling in and asked, how do I put a strawberry patch to bed for winter?
With the strawberries, it is nice to mulch them, and that's kind of where the name of the strawberries comes from, is because they used to mulch the strawberries with straw. And I prefer not to use the straw because it's kind of a mess to clean up in the spring, but you can definitely mulch those strawberries. So what we do with ours is, if they're done producing, just go over them with the lawnmower. Just drop your blade down to about 3 inches or so, and you just go right over the patch with the lawnmower and just take all that excess growth off, because that's going to just die down and just be a mess to clean up next spring. So just go over the top of the strawberries with the lawnmower. Works amazingly well. And then just a little mulch over the top of them just to protect them. Usually an inch to 2 inches of a really well composted. Don't use steer manure. That's kind of hard on the strawberries, but a poultry would work great. So that's why we really like our soil building conditioner, because it's a finely ground redwood bark. It's been composted with poultry manure and bat guano and worm castings and kelp meal and all kinds of goodies in there. It's got mycorrhiza. It'll make the roots of your plants just take off like crazy. But an inch or two of a soil building conditioner like that would be perfect, just right over the top of the strawberries. It'll kind of insulate and protect them. And then what you want to do is, once we start to get a lot of snow, is blow the snow with your snow blower right on top of the strawberries, just like we do with the roses. And that will help insulate and protect the strawberries through the wintertime, so you don't have any winter damage. So it'll work great. Yeah.
One of the keys is you just want to insulate.
Yeah.
And it just give the much insulation as you can from the cold temperatures we're going to have.
And I love trimming the strawberries down, because if not, you just have dead leaves and junk to have to clean up the next year. So going over them with the lawnmower, you can go over them with the weed whacker as well too, and then just kind of rake up all the stuff. But with the lawnmower, it's perfect, because you just go over it once and it just vacuums everything up.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't beat that.
All right. Thanks for the call, Lori. Let's go back out onto the phone lines. We have Tom joining us on the line from Providence. Tom, go ahead. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
I was making my scrambled eggs this morning, and I cut an onion in half, and it had a brown ring around the inside. What causes that?
That is usually from unusual growing conditions. And so sometimes when we have just excessive drought and then before you can harvest them, we start to get all those rainstorms the end of July, first part of August. And if your onions hadn't kind of started to cure at that point, you can start to grow again a little bit, and you'll get that little bit of brown on the inside. And so best thing to do is to get them planted as early as possible. Try and be as consistent with the watering throughout the summertime, even if we get real hot, dry temperatures. But when we start to get that monsoonal moisture that really kicks in August and early September, get those onions harvested before they sit out there for a long time in the wet. We ended up pulling our onions about mid-August this year because we were starting to see that happen. Mm-hmm. And so I pulled the onions up and got them into the barn where they could dry, and they're nice and firm and good right now. Haven't noticed any discoloration on the interior, but usually that happens from those late storms really starting to kick up with the onions. So.
Well, the onion tasted good.
Yeah, they should be fine. They probably just won't keep quite as long as they would because they'll start to deteriorate a little bit faster. So kind of keep an eye on them, and the ones that start to deteriorate a little bit quicker, try and use those earlier. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You are so welcome, and enjoy those onions, Tom.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
All right, let's go back out onto the phone lines. We have Sue joining us on the line from Logan. Sue, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Yes. Is it too late to put grass killer on Johnson grass and it's in a bed with spring bulbs in it?
You know what? The grass killer would work without damaging your spring bulbs, and so it won't affect tulips or daffodils or anything like that. That would work just fine. And if the temperatures stay in the 50s and 60s, it would work great. Usually with the kind of wet weather we've had this last month, grasses have really greened up. If you haven't noticed, everybody's lawns all of a sudden have really, really greened up. They look great. I've had people that came in and say, "Oh, I mowed my lawn in the middle of the month, and I was hoping that was going to be my last mowing." And
now you've got to do it again.
It's like growing again. That's when the grass killer works the best, is when the grass is growing actively. So some nice wet conditions, some warmer temperatures, spray. Today would be a perfect day to spray it, and then next week, if you have a nice day in there, 50-degree temperatures, go ahead and spray it again, and I'll bet you can get some pretty good control on that grass even this fall. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And another question, could you plant your garlic now without having to water it in since I've turned my water off?
The soil is really nice and moist right now, and it looks like we've got some more storms coming, and so I would get out there and get your garlic planted like this weekend, and then let Mother Nature water it next week, and you should be in great shape. We like that good soil moisture when you plant, and it looks like we're going to have a hopefully, fingers crossed, a little wetter November than usual, and that means you wouldn't have to water at all.
Okay, and then on your roses, do you recommend the Garden Max around them for a base before you put leaves around them?
Ooh, the Garden Max on the roses in the fall would be excellent before you mulch them up. Yes, that would be wonderful, Sue.
And so then you would probably put your fertilizer on first, and then the Garden Max, or the Garden Max and then the fertilizer.
I would do the mag sulfate and the potash. Then you could put the Garden Max on, and then your mulch over the top of them, and that would be wonderful. And then snow, lots of snow on top of that.
Okay, that's great.
All right.
Well, thank you for your help. I appreciate your information.
You're so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, Sue.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
And we still have lots more time to take those calls. 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868 for a question for Mark here during the Garden Guide on this Halloween Eve. And we were mentioning a lot going on this weekend today.
Downtown and on Center Street. So we've got a lot of trick-or-treating going on today downtown. So all the businesses, not all, but a good portion of the businesses will be handing out treats of various types. And so it's a good day to be outside and having some fun. Great weather. And then the festivities start about 4 or 5 o'clock on Center Street, and there'll be music, and there'll be dancing. There'll be all kinds of fun stuff. And at Anderson's, we're open until 8 o'clock. And, of course, we've got a bunch of our fall decor is on sale. We've got a special running today, and we brought in some gorgeous, gorgeous fall mums. They're usually $5 for a quart-size mum, and we're selling them for $1.50, and they are in absolute full bloom. So they look amazing right now. So I got a rack out front of the store, and I'll have one in the greenhouse as well, too. So we'll have quite a few to choose from. And we've got some 8-inch bigger ones as well, well too, and they're usually $8.99. I think we're selling those for $4. I'm kind of trying to remember off the top of my head. $4 for those big ones. So great discounts and great deals on mums and fall decor. Got the store's almost decorated for the holidays, so it's looking really good.
Coming.
Yeah,
great.
It's coming along. Unfortunately, not as fast as we'd like, but we did get about 10 pallets of product in this week. So
some of those supplies you've been waiting on for a long time.
Yeah, we've been waiting 3 months for some of this stuff, and it's finally shown up. So we may appear to be a little bit behind schedule, and that would be the truth.
Yeah,
not by choice. Not by choice. This is just we're making it work.
But at least we know one thing: Santa Claus is never late.
No,
it's not late.
No.
Question on what he'll be able to bring. Yeah, there are some questions there, but he's not going to be late.
He's going to show up. So and it sounds like we're going to be able to do the parade downtown for the holidays right after
the Christmas
Thanksgiving.
Parade.
Yeah, so we'll be doing the Christmas parade, and there'll be some fun stuff going on there as well too. Maybe I'll have some more details for that next week as well too.
All right. Well, Susan is holding on the line in Logan. Susan, welcome to the Garden Guide.
Thank you. I have a question about my potatoes this year. Red potatoes, best crop I've ever had in quantity and in size. That as I cut into, particularly the bigger ones, there's kind of a hollow crystal.
Yeah. In the interior. Yeah, that is from our drought conditions this summer. Absolutely. So you get those drought growing conditions, and you can get those hollow centers, and sometimes it will discolor a little bit also. Very similar to what Tom's experiencing with his onions, where it was just so hot and so dry, and it will affect the growth of the potatoes a little bit as well too. And you're right. It especially hits the bigger ones and not so much the smaller ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though I'm irrigating well, though.
Yes. Yeah. And it has to do with those really high temperatures and just dry soil conditions, even though you were watering. So we use soaker hoses, and I tried to do twice a week with the soaker hoses just to make sure there was good soil moisture. And our potatoes did really quite well. In fact, we got way more potatoes than I thought we were going to. But all it takes is just 1 week where they kind of dry out in between, and where the soil was so dry almost all summer long, it was like perfect conditions for that to happen. And so I think sometimes even with your best watering practices, it can still happen when you have a season like what we just had. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. I wish I could fix it for you. It sounds like you did exactly what you're supposed to, but unfortunately Mother Nature had different ideas this year. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thanks for calling, Susan.
Well, and one of the things, too, was just that dry wind that we got.
It really dried things out. But with the potatoes, it has to do, like she said, with the soil moisture, maintaining that soil moisture, because the potatoes are growing so quickly through the summertime. And then when you get those heat, the really excessive heat like we had, and many, many days up above 100, and soil will just dry out quickly in between. And like you mentioned, Will, really windy, and the wind really just dried things out, just pulled the moisture right out of the soil. So
we found that even we'd irrigate overnight, by the next evening it looked like we hadn't even done anything.
Yeah.
It's like putting a hairdryer on your garden.
Super dry, and the soil really got compacted as well too, because it was just so dry. But a lot of times there's good moisture underneath there. So really the key to doing that is to make sure you add good organic matter each year. Work that into the soil. If you're having a hard time getting your soil to really hydrate up properly, the zeolite will really, really help. So you want to till that into your garden this fall so that it will help the soil retain that moisture through the summer when we do get those hot temperatures. So yeah.
Still time to take your calls, 753-5868 as we head into the bottom of the hour break. You can also call in to 1-800-369-5868. Coming up, we're going to talk about how to winterize your lawn and take care of your lawn as we head into the winter months. That's all on the way next here on KVNU and the Garden Guide with Mark Anderson of Anderson's Seed and Garden. 30 minutes after the hour, I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News Update. It's brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Well, Cache Valley's annual Halloween Witches Dance is going to be held in downtown Logan today. The tradition will now be a part of the downtown Logan Hocus Pocus Witches Dance and Halloween Festival. It's taking place all day today, according to Spooky spokesperson Kate Webb. The Witches Dance, with dozens of local women dressed as high-fashion sorceresses, normally originally had taken place within residential neighborhoods on West Center Street, but now with the support of Logan City officials, the event is moving a few blocks east and becoming the highlight of a day-long Halloween celebration that is going to be taking place on Center Street and in the downtown area. Now, other festivities include a trunk or treat for the kids, costume contest along with live music, and then also a pumpkin carving contest and the witches dance as well. Turning to college football, it is a big one for the Utah State Aggies as they bring their 5-2 record and 3-1 in the Mountain West back home as they face off against Hawaii this afternoon with kickoff set for 1 o'clock, our pregame show with Al Lewis beginning at noon. As head coach Blake Anderson said earlier this week, although the team right now is leading the division, that's not something they're really focusing on.
You know, to be truthful, we don't talk about championships, first place, second place at all. We're just focusing on getting better every day, 1 degree better every day. Just had that same conversation in the locker room. Guys, don't let the focus change. If we do what we're supposed to do, everything else take care of itself. We just got to keep improving, and we know we still got a tough road ahead of us. So.
The game will be televised live on Spectrum Sports. Looks like it's going to be great weather with sunny skies, chance of showers coming for Halloween. Will Feelright for KVNU News.
From ABC Sports. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Ant. With the World Series back in Atlanta for the first time in more than 2 decades, the Braves made their fans' long wait worth it in a pivotal Game 3.
Darno hits one well to deep center field. This one's going pretty far back.
The call on WCNN, Travis d'Arnaud's 8th-inning home run provided much-needed insurance for Atlanta. Braves starter Ian Anderson tossed 5 no-hit innings, becoming the first pitcher since Don Larson in 1956 to accomplish that feat in a World Series. An Astros pinch-hit single in the 8th broke up the no-hit bid, but the Braves still held on for a 2-0 shutout to take a 2-1 lead in the series. While he was bummed not to finish what he started, Anderson said he understood the decision to pull him after the 5th inning.
The way the playoffs have been played and managed, I think, you can't fault Snit for making that move.
Game 4 tonight in Atlanta. This is ABC.
Well, the leaves are changing, fall is in full swing, and so are the great deals on Ram trucks at Heritage. During Ram Power Days, check out 0% financing for 72 months, available on all new Ram models. Experience for yourself why Ram is the #1 brand loyalty. And right now, we've got discounts up to $5,000 off on Ram, the most awarded light truck in America. Come see why Heritage is the hometown dealer with the biggest deals in Logan, Tremont, and Brigham City.
Witches, ghosts, and goblins, it's time for you to play. It's Anderson Seed and Gardens Witches Night Out, Saturday, October 30th from 4 to 8 p.m. It's the annual holiday unveiling event. They'll have the store converted to Christmas. Come set your eyes on amazingly decorated Christmas trees and more. Come snatch up once-a-year holiday sale items. Mark your calendar and join them for a fun evening. Witches Night Out at Anderson Seed and Garden, Logan.
It's the Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Welcome back to the show. 8:37 now on this Saturday morning as we have just a few clouds. Those are going to be breaking up and should make for just a gorgeous day today.
That's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah. Perfect Halloween weather.
Yeah, doesn't get any better. Got outside this week and had that really nice weather. Sun came out and got the sprinklers all winterized and turned off all the water. Gathered everything up. Started to clean up all the patio furniture and finished tidying up those last few branches that were still broken, laying around after the snowstorm.
We've still got a few of those we've got to do. The one thing that we've found this year, and I don't know if it's just something unique about this year, but we have more birds hitting our bird feeders. We're having to fill those up about every week now.
They seem to be quite voracious.
And they've decided not to fly south. And maybe it's because they realize there's some food around our place.
The
I don't know.
weather's so nice. And that's one thing we do have at Anderson's. We have a really nice display of wild bird feeders. We've got tube feeders as well as platform feeders. And I've got all the food as well, too. And you can buy larger bags, but we have it in bulk. We can just weigh up any amount that you'd like. So black sunflower, millet, wild bird seed, thistle, even shelled sunflower sunflower seeds. We've got a bunch of different options if you want to start filling up your feeders for fall and winter. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to enjoy watching those birds come in and eat all winter long.
Our kids love it. We have one right by our dinner room window that looks out over our backyard, and it's just it's a fun activity. Just as we're sitting there eating, you see all the birds coming in.
Get to have breakfast with the birds.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
All right, well, we're taking your calls, and we have Curtis joining us on the line from Smithfield. Curtis, welcome to the show. Thanks for holding.
You're welcome.
How are you doing?
Good. Doing good today.
Great. What's your question?
Hey, I have a rabbit hutch in the corner of my garden, and I just wanted to know if it's okay to spread the manure that comes from the rabbit out into the garden.
Absolutely. Yeah, rabbit manure would work great. The older it is and the less it smells like manure, the better. Mm-hmm. And so, but with all manures, rabbit, chicken, poultry, steer, you name it, the critical point is to not put too much of it out there and to balance it with some other stuff. And so if you put like an inch of rabbit manure out there in the garden, make sure you put something else to kind of counterbalance it. Leaves, dry grass clippings, wood shavings, sawdust, something that's higher in carbon would be great to go with that. So compost from the landfill is excellent to work in with that manure because the compost from the landfill right now doesn't have a whole lot of nitrogen in it. It's all just wood-based materials.
Chippings.
Yeah. So it's high in carbon, but the manure is going to be higher in nitrogen. So usually about a 3 or a 4-to-1 ratio would be perfect with your rabbit manure. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thanks.
All right. You are so welcome. Good luck with your garden, Curtis.
Yep.
All right. Have a good...
That'll free up the phone lines, 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868. Still plenty of time to take your calls this morning. As we want to also talk a little bit about winterizing our lawns, too.
Yes, absolutely. So what we're doing right now is we've dropped our lawnmower blade down as low as it will go, and we mowed this week, picked up a lot of leaves, and put those leaves out on the garden. And, of course, the wind blew, and so we've got a whole bunch more leaves to pick up as well, too. So we'll try and hit those again multiple times this fall as the leaves are really coming off the trees. And you use those to mulch your roses, use that to put out in your garden, and a great way to put that organic matter back into your soil. But where it comes to winterizing the lawn, try and keep that mowed as short as possible before we get snow, because then your grass will actually grow a little bit through the wintertime, and the shorter it is, the less likely you'll have damage. You won't have as many diseases. You won't have vole problems if you can keep that grass really short before the winter hits. And since we're now hitting Halloween, we like to winterize between Halloween and Thanksgiving. So this is a great time to winterize your lawn. Winterizer from Fertilome, one of the best products you can put on. It's a slow-release nitrogen. It's got lots of micronutrients. It's going to sit there and feed that lawn all winter long. So the Fertilome Winterizer would be amazing to throw onto your lawn right now, as well as a dose of humic. So the humic goes along great with the winterizer to help break down thatch, break down grass clippings. It helps put minerals and micronutrients and microbes and microorganisms back into your soil and build that soil up for next year. Conditions the soil so it'll absorb moisture better, so it'll hold that moisture longer, frees up the nutrient, makes it available for your lawn, for your flower beds, for your garden especially. The humic is excellent to put out into your garden. And so this time of year, put that winterizer on right after you've mowed as close as you can get it. Throw the humic on as well too. Let Mother Nature water it in, and away we go. I've winterized as late as the first week of December if the weather stays really nice.
If it stays like this.
Yeah. But you kind of want to watch the weather, and if it looks like we're going to get snow and it's going to get cold enough that snow's going to stick around, that's when you want to do that last mowing and then get that winterizer on right before the snow comes.
One of the things that we made the mistake of a couple of years ago is didn't get all of the leaves cleared up, and that can do a lot of damage to your lawns.
Especially if you get snow
months.
on top of that, and then it like compresses the leaves down, and then it kind of suffocates the lawn, and then you have to like clean it up the next spring.
Yeah. So So make sure you keep those leaves cleared off of the grass. And in fact, a couple times we've even mowed the lawn, even though the lawn didn't need it.
Yeah.
We just ran the lawnmower out there a few times just to collect all those leaves.
Oh, it's the best way to pick up leaves as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it chops the leaves up, so it's a little denser, and you don't have quite the volume of stuff. But we did this week. We got the blowers out and cleaned the leaves out of the flower beds and blew it onto the lawn. Went over it with the lawnmower, gathered it all up. Goes out in the garden.
You just throw it on the garden.
Yeah, that's perfect. So then with the garden, once you're putting a lot of leaves and grass clippings and stuff out there, make sure you add that humate and add the humic as well as a high nitrogen fertilizer. So ammonium sulfate would be great. It's got that 21% nitrogen there. It's got the sulfur. That would be excellent if you want to go with a natural source of nitrogen. A tomato and vegetable food would be great as well too, like the organic tomato and vegetable food from Natural Guard. That would be excellent as well too. It's one of my favorite fertilizers to use on the garden. But you need that high nitrogen because all that organic matter, all that carbon is going to need the nitrogen to decompose. Kind of like what we were talking about with Curtis. You need that balance of nitrogen with the carbon, and everything that's brown and dry is high in carbon. So if it's brown and dry, so leaves, dry grass clippings, sawdust, wood shavings, again, compost from the landfill. Any type of wood-based compost is going to be high in carbon, so we've got to balance that out with some nitrogen to get it to break down.
Okay. Bruce is joining us on the line from North Logan. Bruce, welcome to the show. What's your question this morning?
Well, I bought some garlic to start a garlic bed this winter, or through the winter.
Yes.
Is it too late to plant it?
Oh, no. Excellent time to plant. Usually from the latter part of September through October, even into the first part of November, excellent time to plant that garlic. In fact, we have a great selection of garlic still at Anderson's, probably about 10 different kinds to choose from, and they all taste amazing. All the ones that I've tried there have been wonderful. So, yep, get them planted, Bruce.
Okay, sounds good. That's what I need to know.
All right. Hey, thanks for calling this morning.
Bye-bye.
And good soil moisture, great time to plant the garlic. Dig your trench about 3 inches deep. A little bit of fertilizer down on the bottom. Organic, nice organic bulb food, or even a vegetable food would be great because it's got that high phosphorus in there. Work that down into the bottom of the trench where you're going to plant them. Put your bulbs in there about every 4 to 6 inches. Cover it up, water it. Looks like it's going to rain next week. You might not even have to water too heavily, and then let Mother Nature take care of it. It looks like we're going to get some good storms coming up this winter.
Yeah,
this
perfect
November
time to
too.
get those in right now.
Yeah,
with the moisture we've got coming. Yeah. Kathy has been holding on the line from Dayton. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Hi. I am concerned about my weeds in my garden. They were the best crop we had this year.
Yes.
I've mowed them all down, but you said that we could still spray. What kind of temperatures are we looking at before I should not be spraying them?
Yeah, so if we're getting daytime temperatures in the 50s and 60s, even Killzall or Decimate or Roundup, they're going to work very, very well at controlling some of those weeds out there. And since you won't be planting until next year, if you have a lot of broadleaf weeds in there, you could add a little bit of weed-free zone in with it. Weed-free zone works in temperatures as low as 45 degrees, and it would do a great job on morning glory and thistles and mallow and some of those really hard-to-kill weeds, and it works really, really fast. And so on a day like today, you could spray, and by the time you get home from church tomorrow, you'll see those weeds already curling up and turning brown. So
that would be such
yes,
a
yes,
it's one of the most satisfying.
It is, yeah. It's like the
sights
best
to see.
Yeah, and then you could still till that all in and use it as organic matter, and away you go next spring. Everybody worries about, I'm going to till seeds back into my garden. I'll tell you what, doesn't matter what you do, you're always going to till seeds back into your garden. So, just live.
That's why I mowed them. I thought maybe I'd
gather some of them up. Yeah, great plan. Unfortunately, I've got one corner of my garden where I've got burr buttercup snuck in there, and I was going to take care of it, and I just kind of got distracted, and with that frost, it killed it, and it just dropped seeds everywhere. And so I'm just like, now I'm going to have to deal with those next year, but we'll get them. we'll get on top of them. So.
Now, this weed-free zone, can I use it around my fruit trees?
That is one I'd be really careful with around the trees because it does have a little bit of soil residual activity. The trees could pick it up through the soil, so you're better off doing...
How far away?
As far as the roots spread. Because those roots can pick it up through the soil, and it can, over time, gradually affect your trees. But a product like Kills-All or Decimate has no soil residual activity, and they won't pick it up through the root system. It has to go in through the green leafy part of the plant. So you would be much safer using a product like that. So.
And they are green and leafy. That's amazing.
Yeah. All this rain has been wonderful for the soil and for our plants, but it's also made the weeds grow like crazy.
Just taking it off.
Yep, they're growing like crazy. So, all right, Kathy, any other questions?
All right, thank you. No, that's all I need. Have a good Halloween.
You too. Thank you so much for calling this morning.
All right, and let's go back out to the phones. Marcia is on the line with us from Smithfield. Marcia, go ahead.
Good morning, Mark.
Hey.
My question is, how do I put a hydrangea to bed so that it reblooms again next spring? I came down and purchased a Monrovia Seaside Serenade Fire Island.
Oh, very nice.
Hydrangea.
So pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's been wonderful, but I don't want to lose it for the winter.
They are quite hardy, and they are actually zone 4s, and so they should do very well for you. You were in Smithfield?
Yes.
Yeah. Should do great there in Smithfield for you. Let's make it a little bit hardier for the winter. So I would recommend for blooming shrubs like that, we treat them kind of like our roses. So do a little bit of magnesium sulfate and a little bit of potash on each one, probably 1/4 to 1/2 cup of each for your hydrangea. If it's newly planted, I'd probably stick with the 1/4 cup. Sprinkle that on the ground right around where the roots are going to be of your hydrangea. Water it well. You don't need to mulch it or anything. And I wouldn't do too much pruning unless you've got some branches that are a little bit out of control. And so we don't want to prune too much because a lot of the hydrangeas will bloom on this year's growth. So the new wood that grew this year, they'll produce flowers on next year. So we don't want to prune them excessively until after they're done blooming. And so don't do too much pruning.
So mag sulfate.
Yep, mag sulfate and potash. So muriate of potash and our magnesium sulfate, they come from High Yield, 2 great products.
About 1/2 cup.
Yeah, 1/4 to 1/2 cup. Yeah, if their plants are smaller, do the 1/4 cup. If it really grew a lot, you could start doing a 1/2 cup. But I'd probably stick with the 1/4 cup this year since you planted it just this year. And and then just do a little bit of maintenance pruning, not a lot of heavy pruning. And then in the spring, let's fertilize it. We're like April. Really get it growing, and it should bloom like crazy for you for next year too.
Okay, and then just put some leaves around the roots?
I don't even know if you need to do that. It's a zone 4, so you should be great. What I would do is, pile snow around it, throw snow from the snowblower on top of it. That'll help really insulate the plant. But you shouldn't have a lot of dieback on it since it is a hardier variety.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You're so welcome, Marcia. Thanks for calling this morning.
One.
You too. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you. I wish your open house tonight was. I've got so many trick-or-treaters to come. I don't know if I dare leave.
Yes. Well, we've got our Christmas open house coming up the 3rd weekend of November, so that's going to be the 16th. Actually, the 17th through the 20th is probably what we're going to do. So that'll be like our Christmas open house. This is just kind of like give everybody a taste of what we've got going this year, and we thought it'd be a good opportunity with everybody running around downtown on Center Street. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
well, excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Mark.
Yep. Have a great one, Marcia.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
And we still have time to take a couple more calls if you have a question for Mark during the Garden Guide. 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868 are the phone numbers. Let's go back and talk winterizing lawns a little bit because one of the questions we've gotten in the past, aerating lawns.
Yeah.
right now is still a great time.
Really great time, especially where the soil's moist. You can really pull a nice plug with the aerator right now. Last year, it seemed like it was really hard to get good aeration because the soil was so dry. Well, now we've had all this rain all of October. It's a perfect time to get out there and aerate your lawn. And a lot of people coming in worried about voles right now too. And so a great way to prevent voles is to put a repellent out there right now. So really high vole activity this fall. We saw a bunch of activity happening in September, and when we see that in September, that means there's going to be a lot in November and December and January. So what we have found is that 2 voles in November turn into 200 voles by February. They multiply very, very quickly. And so if you've had problems with voles, if you live next to an open field or a vacant lot, that's where they're hanging out. They're going to come hang out in your yard all winter. And what happens is they like that insulation of the grass with the snow over the top of it. So if we get a lot of snow and your grass is long, they're going to find a way in there, and they're going to have a party all winter long underneath the snow. Basically, they're going to make a snow cave, and they're just going to have a wonderful time all winter. They'll nibble on your trees, and they'll nibble on your shrubs, and they'll eat the grass, and they'll just have a blast out there. So best way to prevent that is to mow your lawn as close as possible, as late as possible, just like we mentioned for winterizing the lawn. So mow it really close, and then broadcast a repellent out there. You can do either a liquid or a granule. They'll usually last about 4 to 6 weeks. So if you've had bad problems, do it right now, and then do it again if we get into December and you still have bare ground. Hit it again before the snow really settles in, and make sure and keep those out of your yard before the snow really settles in. And then one thing we found that works great is if you have a bigger property and we get snow on the ground, take a ATV or a snowmobile and just kind of drive around the perimeter of the property and pack the snow down, and then the voles can't get into your yard and kind of make their little vole utopia underneath the snow.
Compact a little
down.
Trail around your property.
And so then they can't get into your property and have a heyday all winter long. And so that has worked very, very well for some of our customers that have larger properties, and they'll just kind of compact that snow down around their lawn. And then when the snow melts in the spring, you don't have trails all over the place where they've just had a blast all winter. So we've got some great baits for the voles as well too. So you can make bait stations. Usually use a 2-inch PVC pipe, cut it into 12 or 14-inch long pieces, put the bait inside the pipe, and just put it in strategic locations around your yard. Inside the pipe, it'll be protected from the snow and the rain, and so it'll keep it from getting wet. And most of the time, it's grain based, so if it gets wet, then it's not as attractive to the voles to eat. And so if we can protect it inside those bait stations, and try and replace it every 4 to 6 weeks or so, put some new bait out there, but that actually works really quite well. Okay. And so they like to go inside, and then there's an exit on both sides. They can go out where they came in. They can go out another location. They feel very comfortable in there, and then they find a snack. It's like, ooh, surprise.
Gorge on this, and then 2 days later, they're dead.
Yeah. So it works very well. And most of the baits are zinc-based, and the zinc won't hurt birds, and it's only first generation. So if your dog eats a whole bunch of voles that have eaten the bait, it won't hurt the dog as well too, or the cat. And so they'd have to consume literally hundreds of voles for it to affect them. And so the zinc is really a safe product that will work on these rodents, but it won't hurt your pets as well too. So.
Yeah, I was going to say we usually adopt our neighbors' cats.
Yeah.
During the winter months, we'll put out some cat food so that the cat just kind of comes over to our yard every once in a while, and then you'll see some of those voles.
Stays on top of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My cat has been very aggressive outside. He's been bringing friends home for us to inspect.
Yeah. So. And it's better than having them ruin your yard.
Oh, so. Yeah, because they do so much damage. Then we have a lot of work to do in the spring to clean up. Yeah. So those keys are mow close, get some bait, some repellents out there, and then compact that snow around your lawn. And you should escape the winter, vole-free that way. Yeah. So
we've got just 2 minutes left in the show. Mark, let's talk again about some of the things that are happening at Anderson Seed and Garden today. for Halloween.
Yeah, so we've got Witches Night tonight, and it goes from 4 until 8. We've got some great specials on our fall decor. We've got some promo pricing on some fall mums that we just brought in yesterday, and they are absolutely gorgeous. So there's some quart size that regularly we sell for $5, and we're selling them for $1.50, and we've got some 8-inch, some bigger ones that normally sell for about $9, and we're selling them for $4. And so if you want to add a little bit of color to your yard, we've got 6 gorgeous colors of fall mums. You can just get those very inexpensive. Make great gifts as well too if you want to brighten up your table inside, have a little some centerpieces. The mums would be amazing for right now. They look really good. So we've got some mums on sale. Fall decor, we'll have some specials going on for some of our holiday decor as well too. It's kind of our preview for what's happening for the holidays, and we've got the store almost fully decked out for Christmas, so it's a great time to come in. Amaryllis bulbs are in. We've got fall bulbs going. And then out on Center Street, we've got the Halloween Festival. We've got the Witches Dance going on all night. We've got music. We've got vendors. And we'll have the Pie Lady at the store. If you've never had her pie, you just got to stop in and just buy a piece.
Try a piece of pumpkin pie.
Oh, yeah. Her pie is just amazing. So Julia the Pie Lady will be there. And we'll be there as well, too. So to answer your questions, just have a good time.
Yeah.
Trick-or-treating today.
Starting at 10
for 10 o'clock.
The treaters coming by.
And we might have the football game over the radio as well, too. So we'll see. 1 o'clock, Aggies play Hawaii.
Yep.
Hopefully Hawaii will bring some more really nice weather with them as well, too.
We can definitely hope. And coming up next week, we want to just mention this. Next week will be our final show of the season. So if you've held off with a question, next week you've got one last chance to call in for the Garden Guide. And we'll see you back next Saturday, Mark.
Sounds great. Thanks, Will.
The preceding was a paid program of commercial time on KVNU. The information, offers, and claims were solely those of the sponsor and not the opinions of this station, its affiliates, management, or employees. Breaking news and stimulating talk.